Good afternoon, everyone. This is Mike O'Malley here with the Hurricane Outlook and discussion for November 5th, 2022, around 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We have a lot to talk about this afternoon, including a hurricane threat increasing for portions of Florida over the next couple of days. So let's go and jump straight into everything. Taking a look at our system located in the Caribbean right now, it is producing an area of disorganized shower and thunderstorm activity today. There is no well-defined low-level circulation. In fact, there is shear over top of this system, and that is not going to allow for substantial development, at least for about the next day or three, really. But after that, it seems like the shear will begin to lessen once this moves north of Puerto Rico, and then this could become a tropical cyclone, maybe even a hurricane as indicated by some of the recent forecast models. So we're going to have to watch this. In terms of where this system might end up going, we can see the area of interest outlined by the National Hurricane Center. This has now been upgraded to a 70% chance of development over the next 5 days. Again, this system will cross over into crossing the Mona Passage today and this evening, and then into the southwestern Atlantic basin over about the next day or two, whereafter conditions do become favorable for subtropical or tropical formation. And this really could be a substantial issue for portions of Florida, and I think it's being overlooked a little bit, but this is no joke here. The forecast guidance today continues to trend stronger with our potential system. We notice on the GFS 10-meter wind and mean sea level pressure, we do have a storm that ends up developing even into a bona fide hurricane making landfall in Florida, then crossing into the Gulf of Mexico over the next couple of days. This is actually a realistic possibility. But besides the hurricane threat, I think my biggest concern right now, you can see the strong winds that actually make its way into the Atlantic basin. And this not only could have a real problem with the onshore flow, but this could cause a lot of flooding issues for many locations outside of Florida. So as I just stated, we can see on the wind gust forecast product from the GFS, we notice the large, extensive wind field this system is likely to have. Outside of the fact that this might be a hurricane making landfall, I do believe this has the potential to produce some very significant and widespread impacts, not only to the Florida Peninsula and maybe even the Panhandle, but we could also be talking about impacts all the way up through Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, etc. This could be a very substantial issue. In terms of the shear for this system, we notice it's going to be relatively light for several days. We're looking at the GFS 250 millibar wind pattern, so about 39,000 feet in the atmosphere. And right now we're not seeing any screaming winds from west to east across this that would really signify the potential for this system to struggle. There might be a little bit of shear, maybe on the order of about 20 knots or less, but I don't think that's going to be enough to prohibit development. Now, if this does cross into the Gulf of Mexico, this might have a little bit of shear to contend with, but right now the track is a little bit uncertain because we don't know what's going to happen. However, if we do look at the rainfall forecast for this system off of the GFS, we notice it is going to be quite high for several locations across portions of the Florida Peninsula, especially South Florida. On this particular run of the GFS, it is going to be dependent on where this makes landfall. But we can see some of the rainfall amounts over 4.5 inches in spots. And again, this could be higher, could be lower, just depends where this makes landfall. But this is also going to be a substantial problem. But we can already start to see some of those issues today. We've got onshore flow already indicated by those wind barbs. And we're starting to get some lighter showers and maybe even a rumble of thunder or two across portions of Florida over the next several days. This is a response of that onshore flow, so it's going to be something to monitor, and we got to keep eyes on this. So with that being said, I hope you have a great rest of your afternoon and evening. Of course, I am Mike O'Malley. I'll have a shorter video out there tomorrow. I got to leave tomorrow, but I will be back